I really loved working with Pete. He was just a darling. And we were friends. And then on that fateful day, when he took his life in the evening, we had just had lunch at Universal in the commissary. So I was besieged, and I was very young. I was besieged with press, and everybody wanted to know, did he give you a clue? What happened exactly?
Welcome to A Word on Westerns. Today we have a leading lady of several Westerns. She's our cowgirl. Could you please welcome Belinda Montgomery?
And, you know, doing the Westerns in California, I never shot a Western before I came here. I shot stuff in Canada as a teenager and as a kid. In fact, I got my start in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I was born. My dad was an actor. An Irishman, and he played an Irishman on radio, and he had a radio show that went live right across Canada. And this one day, I was with him while they were going to record, and the director said, the little boy we were supposed to have didn't arrive. What do you think? Belinda's there. Could she do it? Well, I had a little, husky voice as a little kid, and so I played the little boy on radio, and I started to play little boys on radio with my dad. Are you kidding? I was in heaven. And thinking of doing anything else. I mean, why would you do anything else when you could be an actor and have fun all day, every day? So it was a lot of fun.
What brought you to Hollywood?
Eleanor Kilgallen with MCA Universal. She and all the people at Universal called, and she tried to get a hold of me when I was doing a play called Boing Boing. I was traveling around. I was not quite 18. And Eleanor called a couple of times when I was on location and said, hello, Miss Montgomery, this is Eleanor Kilgallen with Universal Studios. I went, yeah. And I hung up. And she called back. On the third time, she said, please, dear, don't hang up. It really is Eleanor Kilgallen. I went, I guess I better pay attention. So that was sort of the beginning.
You were a contract player then at Universal.
Yes, they asked me to come down to Los Angeles, and I said, of course. I mean, I had always figured I was coming here. That's a kid for you, right? You always say, well, I'm going to be in L.A., and everybody said, yeah, right. I'm going to Hollywood. Oh, right. All my actor kid friends went, oh, sure you are. I think it's your expectation, because I really believed I was coming.
Well, you did a Universal movie with Tim Matheson that was a Western also.
Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
Yeah. We shot it in Colorado. We shot it outside Durango, and we were up on a mountaintop. We were like 13,000 feet in the air at an old gold mine. And it was Hackathorn's gold mine up there. And we were shooting, and I have pictures somewhere of horses with oxygen masks because they brought horses from LA and didn't realize up that height maybe they'd have a problem. Oh, we were trying to kill them. And then we're shooting on the top of this mountain, and our wagon is supposed to go over this bridge, and then the bridge blows up. They had lit dynamite. They had dynamite all ready to go under the bridge. So we're out there, and they break for lunch, and a huge storm comes up. Clouds, lightning, thunder, lightning's coming, ping, ping, ping. Well, I just went, well, they're having lunch out here, and I'm going, I'm not going to be here. I marched down the mountain to my honey wagon, to my dressing room. I said, I'm not going to be blown up, thank you very much, with lightning. Jack Albertson comes down after me. He says, opens the door, comes in and says, Belinda, it's okay, honey. Nothing's going to happen. I said, Jack, you're probably 3 times my age. I'd like to get to be your age. Please, I don't want to do this. He said, oh, come on, honey, nothing. So anyway, I went back up. It's pouring rain. There's Claude Akins with a little tarp, and he's out there. he's getting all the lunch ready for everybody. All the crew, all the actors are coming up, and Claude serves everybody. And that's what Claude Akins always did on every set. He would, when they're out in location, he would serve lunch. The best, most wonderful guy in the world.
And he played a lot of bad guys.
Yes, he did. And he was such a sweetheart. He lived in Pasadena, and I'd run into him now and then, and he and his wife, and just the gentlest giant, really a sweetheart.
Universal was making so many Westerns at the time. I know The Tall Man and the Deputy and Alias Smith and Jones. You did one of the 90-minute versions, the movie-length version of Alias Smith and Jones.
Yeah, I had a great time. I really loved working with Pete. He was just a darling. And we were friends. Then on that fateful day, when he took his life in the evening, we had just had lunch at Universal in the commissary. So I was besieged, and I was very young. I was besieged with press, and everybody wanted to know, did he give you a clue? What happened exactly? And, Pete was just Pete. He was a great guy. It wasn't like he said, I'm really depressed, I'm going to kill myself. I mean, he was just Pete. I'm sure it was an accident. I'm sure, but I have always thought it was an accident. So.
Because your lunch, you were having a great time?
We were having a great time. It was normal. It was just Pete. So there wasn't anything behind it. I didn't see anything behind it.
Had the episode already finished shooting?
Yes, I think so.
You had Walter Brennan in that?
Yes.
Ben Murphy?
Walter Brennan and Slim Pickens.
Ah.
Slim Pickens.
Yeah, Slim.
Somewhere I have a picture of myself sitting here in a dress, and there's Slim Pickens on one side and Walter Brennan in a dress on the other. I don't...
And this had nothing to do with the episode.
There you go. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I didn't like Westerns because if you were a girl, guys got to wear, cowboy boots and pants, but girls had to be cinched in at the back, and sometimes they sort of pull the strings too much on your dress, and you'd be talking like this. Wait a minute, let me go. Oh, and then trying to get up on a horse and be like that. Okay, how do I do this?
But you all looked great in those tight dresses like that.
Yes, we did.
Well, in that episode, there was also Paul Fix, Earl Holliman.
Yes, Earl Holliman. He was such a nice guy.
He was.
Yeah.
He still is a nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, and his series had been at Universal too, Wide Country with Andy Prine.
Right.
We happened to have been in Williamsburg, Virginia at a nostalgia festival, and I was fortunate enough to have been asked to do a bunch of interviews, and we did one. So this is...
With Andy Prine.
We practiced, And Andy was with us for that interview too.
I never worked with him, but I would see him on the lot at Universal, and he'd be coming out of makeup or something, and I'd just sort of be going, oh.
Yeah.
He was in everything. When I was a contract player, when I came down when I was 19, there were Westerns. That's what you had in the late 60s and early 70s. And I would get on a horse and I'd start to post because I knew from English riding. I lived in London, England as a kid, and I said, of course I can ride. But that was posting, and you can really hurt yourself doing that on a Western saddle. So LQ showed me some of the ropes, and I went out in the back lot and rode out there and had various people try to show me how to really ride a horse.
The Virginian is where that happened, so that was like shooting a movie every week.
Yeah.
Coming from Canada, did you watch Westerns as a child growing up too?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Anza, all of those Westerns. And Clint Walker, we just idolized him. I never worked with him, but it was a lot of fun watching him. And doing the Westerns in California, I never shot a Western before I came here.
You worked with one of the great Western directors who did Hang 'em High, a lot of Rawhide episodes, Ted Post.
Oh, yeah.
We did the Bravos.
The Bravos.
With Ted, and LQ Jones was in there.
Yes, LQ. It was so great to see him here. He looks the same. How can that be? 40 years ago? Oh, all right. LQ was just, if it was a Western, I just figured, that's what happened with Westerns. You had LQ Jones. I don't think I, could imagine a Western really without him. Oh, LQ was just like the sweetest, nicest guy. The Bravos. Why was it called the Bravos? It was all about military
Sounded
stuff.
Western.
Out in the desert. There was no reference. Nobody said, bravo, at any point. No. We looked at it the other night because we hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it for 40-something years. And
Purnell Roberts, that was a different
Purnell.
type of
Oh, yeah. Purnell was a baddie.
Yeah.
And he did that really well. Bo Svensson. And
Bo was quite good in that. And
Yes,
George
he was
Peppard
good.
was such a terrific presence.
yeah, George was just divine. He was the nicest guy and just a sweetheart. And Barry Brown was in
He
that.
played your husband.
He did. And Barry, I always thought Barry Brown was going to be the next Jimmy Stewart. He had that kind of feeling, that kind of presence about him. And then
Too early.
yes, he left us real early. I was real sorry about that.
Was wonderful in that movie with Jeff Bridges, Bad Company.
Yes.
Oh, that was good.
Yes, absolutely. Really terrific actors. I
What
had
was
a lot
Ted
of fun.
Post like?
Oh, he was a wonderful director. He was kind, and he gave you free rein. Oh, no pun intended. And we had a good time with Ted on that. The thing I didn't have a good time with was I wear these old raggy clothes because we're out going across the plains trying to get to California, and they would always, I'd get there, having showered, clean hair, etc. in the morning. They go, oh, you look too clean. They get dirt. Throw it in my hair. Say, oh, your face is a little too clean. They put dirt on my face. My clothes they'd sort of powder me down with, the big powder thing of dirt and dust. And I went, oh, this isn't fun. And then I was supposed to be out in the desert, and I collapsed, and LQ brings me back on horseback, like I'm like this, and LQ, I'm in his arms, and he's coming across the desert riding in. He saved the woman, right? Well, for the scene.
How comfortable was that?
It wasn't. But, I was saying, is this okay, LQ? He said, don't worry, honey, I'm here. That's all he had to say. I mean, just the best. So to get ready for the scene, because I'm supposed to have frost on my lips and on my eyebrows and all, in my hair, ice. And one of the Westmores was our makeup artist, who from the fabulous family of Westmores, thought it was a good idea to melt wax and then put the wax all through my hair and little here. And I figured, well, they know what they're doing. So at the end of the scene, when I come in and LQ, they carry me back into the barracks like this. And at the end, I said, okay, it was the end of the day. I said, so how do I get the wax out of my hair? Well, I hadn't thought about that. So Westmore looks at me and he goes, buy a drink in the bar. What? What the heck am I supposed to do? My wonderful makeup artist, Marina, was there, and she painstakingly broke off every bit of wax and tried to get it out. So the next day, they want to do close-ups, and he's ready to do the same thing. I said, are you crazy? We're not doing that. Well, what am I going to do? I said, you're the makeup guy. Figure out something. So they got baking soda and just put a little water on it, and then put it through my hair. It worked. So if he ever had to do that again, I figured it out. And every Western after that.
You would think the Westmores would know
I
how to
know.
do that.
I know. I was furious. I think it was Wally. Wally, where are you?
We must talk about Neil Patrick Harris and your years as his mother on Doogie Howser working with Stephen Bochco. What a great show.
What a great show.
Scripts.
Yeah. Yes, and Jim Sicking and Larry Pressman and, the whole cast. When I first came aboard, Stephen Bochco said, so Belinda, we're going to be like 4 or 5 years we have this planned for. Are you up for that? I went, yeah. I mean, as an actor, why wouldn't you be up for that, right? And I watched Neil grow up. I mean, as an adult, and now he's a veritable unknown, of course, now.
Yeah. So how many years did it run?
I think it ran for like 4. Was it 5? I think it was 4.
Well, you were in a series that had a short run, but it is a cult show, The Man from Atlantis.
Yes. Isn't that interesting? Man from Atlantis with Patrick Duffy. And
You played a scientist?
I played Dr. Elizabeth Merrill.
Okay.
So whenever I'd be anywhere, people would say, "Oh, it's Dr. Elizabeth Montgomery." And I go, no, that's a different actress. Well,
Did you tweak your nose?
yes, well, I can. And they'd say, "Well, aren't you her sister or daughter?" I said, "No." She didn't come from Canada. But we had an exceptional time doing that. Patty, as I've said before, really paid his dues on that, because they would give him contact lenses that covered his whole eye. And they were not glass, but a hard plastic, and they really hurt his eyes, and he got eye infections. And then they'd put him in the big tank. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Man from Atlantis. Yeah? Okay. They'd put him in a big tank of water that usually was not clean. And I'd be saying, "Dump the water, put clean water in there." "Well, we don't have time." Well, they had a week to think about this. So Patty would exhale like this, get all the air out of his lungs. So when he got in the water and he was mouthing things, there wouldn't be air bubbles coming out of his nose. And what he'd have to do when he got in the water was suck up the water into his nostrils, into his sinuses. So he could do that. Oh, he had terrible sinus problems after that.
Still.
I don't know about now, but I know he had them then. It was difficult.
That's grim.
Yeah.
You know, with fish, they clean their water.
Yeah.
But not on TV.
Not on TV, no. And then his hands, to put the webbed hands on. Yeah, he paid his dues and shave his legs every day. Ooh. I would check. I would check. I'd go, "Wait a minute, Pat. No, I feel a little bit here." He'd say, "Stop it, Montgomery." We had a very good time.
Are there any Western films that you love more than any others?
I think doing How the West Was Won, yes, was for me. It was like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, those were big budgeted, with great guest stars too. LQ again, I think, did those, and of course Bruce Boxleitner, Jim Arness.
Bruce, who's out here right now.
We got a cowboy in the house.
Yes, yeah. Okay. It was so much fun working with Bruce. And it was a good compatibility, and we had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I liked the dialogue. I liked that my character's name was Flory, and she had her own gang. Come on. LQ is saying, I'm going to go into town, I'm going to rob this bank of like $8 million. Who wants to come with me? And I'd look around and I go, "Okay, anybody in?" No takers, or something like this. It was like, oh my gosh, it was perfect. So I got to be kind of a villain, and kind of sidled up to Bruce, and we had sort of a flirtatious thing in the episode, and I just loved it. I liked the dialogue. I liked the way it was directed, the way it looked. I just saw it last night because I thought, I better look at this. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it since it was out, and it still holds up. It was really cute.
They are. They look like movies. Great to see Big Jim, too, rugged like a mountain.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I really enjoyed that show. And I liked Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Mm-hmm. Tim Matheson was so much... he is such a good actor, and a lot of fun. We would laugh and laugh and laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. Yeah. And I want to thank you for being
here, Belinda.
I hope you had a great time.
Thank you. I did. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Actor Pete Duel starred in the 1971 hit Western series Alias Smith and Jones. Born in Rochester, New York, Duel headed to Hollywood in 1963 following a road tour of the play Take Her, She's Mine. The charismatic actor appeared on TV in small roles that just kept getting bigger. A bit part in an unsold Dale Robertson pilot, Diamond Jim, was followed by a recurring role with Sally Field in the sitcom Gidget. Well received but canceled after only 23 episodes, Duel, spelled D-E-U-E-L at the time, was quickly cast in another sitcom, Love on a Rooftop, co-starring Judy Carn, recently divorced from Burt Reynolds, and Rich Little. Love on a Rooftop lasted 1 season and was canceled. Duel next signed at Universal and began making guest appearances in the studio's TV series and movies. He made 2 appearances on The Virginian, including the episode The Good-Hearted Bad Man, and starred with Walter Brennan and Joan Hackett in The Young Country, a TV movie, and possible pilot written and directed by Roy Huggins. Coincidentally, co-star in The Young Country, actor Roger Davis was soon to become the narrator of Alias Smith and Jones. In 1970, Duel landed a good role with George Peppard in Cannon for Cordoba, a solid western about mercenaries going across the border into Mexico. Set in 1914, it also featured Don Gordon and John Russell as General John J. Pershing. 1971 brought big changes for Duel. For one thing, he decided to change the spelling of his name, dropping an R from Peter and an E from Duel, becoming Pete Duel. The second thing 1971 brought was another Western pilot from Roy Huggins, Alias Smith and Jones. This one, sold and produced by Glenn Larson, was a hit. Loosely based on the very successful buddy Western comedy of outlaws on the run, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, now Duel and co-star Ben Murphy became Hannibal Hayes and Kid Curry, cousins, and 2 of the most wanted outlaws in the American West who were trying to reform. The governor offered them amnesty with a condition that had to remain secret. The condition was that they continued to be wanted men until the governor decided it was politically advantageous to grant them a pardon. The comical weekly adventures of 2 young, wisecracking outlaws trying to go straight became appointment viewing for a youthful demographic, especially young girls. The series originally aired from January 1971 to January 1973. Young and older viewers were shocked when, after 33 episodes, news of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound was reported December 31, 1971. It was reported that Duel had been battling depression and alcohol problems, and the death was ruled a suicide. Production of the series continued with the former narrator, Roger Davis, replacing Duel in the series as Hannibal Hayes. Unlike the 2 Darrens on Bewitched, this change did not work with viewers, and Alias Smith and Jones was canceled.